guys, what's up? Oh my god, I missed you so much. I missed you so much. It's genuinely been about 2 to 3 weeks before I sat down and filmed because I had a lot of videos pre-filmed. I wanted to kind of kickstart making videos again by doing, debatably, one of your guys' favorite kinds of stories that I make, which is either anything that's creepy, weird, or paranormal. And this is kind of all of the above. These aren't just going to be personal stories because I don't get haunted every day. I have one of mine and I have friends, family, etc., but they will not be named for privacy purposes. Before we start this video, I'm going to ask you so kindly if you could give this video a thumbs up. Of course, feel free to watch the video and then give it a thumbs up. I just want to remind you guys, it helps me out so much and it means a lot to me. So, without further ado, I'm so glad to be back here talking to you and hanging out. I'm going to tell you some interesting haunting type stories. Let's get into it. Story number 1 is about someone very close to me, and this person, unfortunately, rest in peace, his father actually passed away a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago, and he was super close to his dad, and it was kind of just a heartbreaking moment because my family cares for this person very much, so obviously we didn't want to see him hurting. So one day, this person and another person close to me, they were hanging out with their friends at, I'm not really sure whose house. I want to say it was like the parents' house or something like that of the dad who passed away, but I could be completely wrong. So everyone's hanging out in the room, like having fun, just chilling, and there's like a really old, I want to say jukebox type thing, maybe not a jukebox, but more like a record player, something like that, something very old, something very dusty. Now this thing never had worked, okay? This thing was literally sitting in the basement or wherever they were, you know, because it didn't work. It was just sitting there unplugged, completely unplugged, and just collecting dust because this thing was basically garbage. Keep in mind you, okay, is that this thing was unplugged. So how does that possibly work? Now, ghosts are said to kind of give off like energy through like electronics and things like that. Like basically if they wanted to communicate, they could like turn on something, right? Because their energy is whatever, it works that way. I don't really know. So everyone's just chilling there, and then somehow they had gotten on the topic of this person's father that had just recently passed away. And so they were talking about it and kind of reminiscing and laughing. And this is a true 100% story. Chills all over my body right now. And so they're just literally bringing him up in conversation, and all of a sudden a song starts playing. And the first thing that is noted is that the song that is playing is the father's favorite song, all-time favorite song ever. I think it was like I Got a Feeling by Black Eyed Peas or something like that. And so all of a sudden that song is playing, and they kind of look to figure it out, and they're like, what? And everyone's kind of shook and frozen, and it's playing from the literal unplugged stereo. Unplugged, never had worked, like literally never worked, and it was playing his favorite song while they were talking about him. This is real. He's literally probably here with us. That is the first story, and I think it's very interesting. Story number 2 is a tale from another very credible source, which I think is what makes these things really creepy. This is a story from my aunt, and I remember at a family dinner party probably like a couple months ago, we were all sitting around the table and we were literally discussing paranormal creepy stories that have happened to all of us because we were on the topic of my storytime videos, and I'm always interested in that stuff, and also if I ever wanted to share their stories and you guys were ever interested in that, aka this video, then I would be doing that. So everyone's telling like kind of minor stories and things that I've already heard, stories I've already told, and then my aunt that I don't really get to see much, really scared honestly when she told this story, and I think that's what makes it like really creepy. This is a pretty short basic story, but do you think that this could actually happen? I don't really know. So we were talking about psychics, and psychics are kind of an interesting topic. A lot of religious people and like my family and stuff, and honestly within, because I'm fairly religious, I don't really know why I play with them so much, like why I deal with them, if that makes sense. Why do I even go to them? But apparently my aunt did quite a while ago, and she went to the psychic, and the psychic was very different, very interesting, and kind of creepy. And she was talking about a certain person in my aunt's life who was, I believe, like her aunt or something like that, my aunt's aunt. And so somehow she had come up in the conversation with the psychic, and then as my aunt is telling us this story, like she just looks really like distressed, and she's so dead serious, and it was like kind of something that she'd never really told us. She said that the psychic's face like literally turned in to her aunt's face and was talking to her as if it was her, like through her, and the psychic after that had ended up saying like, basically, your aunt had like taken over my body for a second, blah, 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 and that was her talking to you. And she literally saw the face of her aunt. So, you know, it wasn't the psychic's face unless your mind is just playing really crazy games on you and trying to make you believe things. That's the only other thing I can think. But I thought that that was really scary, because could you imagine going to talk to a psychic and then all of a sudden, like, your deceased family member or friend or something like is basically talking to you and you can see them? Like, that's fucking scary. This one I can't remember if I told, and I think I've told this on a YouNow. I think that might be what it was. My Nana had passed away like about a year ago, I believe, unfortunately, and my papa had passed away like years prior to that. So a year ago, both my grandparents on my dad's side were gone. And so we had gone up there and we'd just gone to go to the funeral for my Nana. And I was hearing my aunt talk to my other aunt, there's a lot of aunts in this story, about an occurrence that had just happened. And it wasn't like a scared thing, it was just like a wow, like, you know, they're actually trying to communicate with us. At my aunt and uncle's house, they'd gotten a call from a number called Nana and Papa's house. Now, like I'd said, my papa had passed away like years and years before, and my Nana had just passed away. Their phone line was much long gone, disconnected, long gone. Like, this was also like their old like landline, like back in the day. I was literally like 5 when we went to go visit them. So that house was long gone as well. It was extremely weird to get that call, and apparently it only rang once. And then it went straight to voicemail, and it left a voicemail, but on the voicemail there was nothing there. I don't know how possibly at all that line could have been called. It doesn't exist. So this is for my last story. I've talked a lot about a certain house that I used to live in, where my uncle had actually passed away, and right after that a lot of crazy things started happening. He was like a mechanic, and things kept breaking around the house. Everything was breaking. The faucet had broke once and literally hit his picture. Like, the water came out of the faucet, flew across the room, hit his picture, and knocked it down. My aunt had always said back in the day when I lived at this house, I'm not going to tell you anything that has happened until you leave, because then you're not going to want to live here anymore, and you know, you're going to be too scared to stay home alone. So I had always waited for her to tell me these things, and she still is keeping things, I'm pretty sure, and that really gets to me. Like, I really want to know the certain things that she like is like, wow, that is just crazy stuff that would scare me so bad I wouldn't want to come over. She still lives there though, but at the same time that is her husband that, you know, could be doing that and communicating, so it's kind of like a comforting thing for her. For me, I'd be like, oh my god. Back in the day, like, I would always do my homework on the kitchen table, and in her kitchen there was like a dimmer light. So the light above the kitchen table, you could dim it as low as you wanted and raise it as high as you wanted, if that makes sense. So we had it on high. Obviously, like, the lights were always just turned on. I never wanted to like do my homework in dim lighting. And I'm just chilling there, and as I am chilling there by myself, there's literally no one there. My mom is upstairs, like, there's no one else downstairs or anything like that. I'm just doing my homework, and all of a sudden the lights just literally dim almost all the way down, very, very slowly. Now, you could argue that that's an electric thing, but nothing else in the house changed. I was sitting right there. My mom reported nothing upstairs. Like, I don't think it was anything like that. So the dimmer just goes slowly, slowly down, and I like freeze, and I have like the chills on me, and I'm like, in this next clip, while editing, I noticed something really, really weird, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So when I'm filming these kinds of videos, I get kind of freaked out, and I kind of feel things, and I look back because, you know, there's a lot of open space behind me and everything. So I'm just filming, and then all of a sudden I felt like a presence, or I felt something behind me. And so I looked back, and right before I looked back, as you can see, which I will show you, an orb literally flies away from me. Now, I don't know, I didn't pay too much attention to the background in the rest of the video, but I don't remember seeing that ever happening, so I'm kind of freaked out right now. I'm really freaked out. Another occurrence happened while I was editing too, where my video started playing backwards, so I'm kind of shook right now. Whoa, why? I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. I run upstairs to my mom and I tell her what happened, and I just kind of get over it, and I'm just, you know, trying to block it out of my head. But in my mind, after everything that like has happened in that house, and after everything that my aunt at the time wouldn't tell me, so I knew that there was stuff going on, I totally felt like it was something paranormal. And the even weirder part to that is about a couple weeks later I was talking to my sister and we got on the topic of creepy ghost paranormal stories, and I told her about the dimming lights in Nancy's house, and she like froze and was like, that exact same thing happened to me, but it was like a couple months prior. So I was safe to say pretty shook, and it was just really creepy. Yeah, those are kind of my 4 like guaranteed credible real stories. Obviously the ones that have happened to me are also very credible too, but these aren't made up, these weren't found on the internet, these aren't stories that I've decided to share with you guys from somebody else's experience that I didn't know. Like, these are people that I know, these are people I love, these are people I trust. And so basically take all of this as fact. I love you guys so much. I hope you really enjoyed that video. If you have any more type of creepy paranormal stories you want me to share with you guys, or if you guys actually want me to start talking about haunted places that I haven't experienced, I'd really like to do a video on the most haunted place in America that I've been fascinated with for basically months. Let me know and I will completely do a whole video on that. I'll do research, put in pictures. It'll be a very cool video. Let me know if you want me to do that. So I love you guys so much. I hope you're having an amazing rest of your day, and I will see your lovely, beautiful faces in my next video. Bye, guys.